Welcome back to the channel and week 2 of my hip rehab journey. So stay tuned to see how that journey is progressing with my rehab physio exercises and what that means for my race calendar coming up. So you're joining me today on the wonderful Cloud Trail just before 5 o'clock, that golden hour on my way back from work. So I packed my kit today to run here. Always got something to look forward to. Running on a decent pace and running while it's still light as well. I love this time of year, March time, where we start to rapidly get a bit more light each day. So we'll soon be in the stage where running before and after work should really be in the light, so really looking forward to that. So to recap quickly, I've had a hip niggle injury. This has been hampering me for a couple of years now. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, and for 4 weeks I stopped running in January. I'm now nearly 2 weeks back into running again, so I'll take you through what I've been doing last week and what the physio said, and then what I've got to look forward to going forward and how I can progress this to get back to normal training really. So at the moment I'm being restricted to, it's really not a strict limit, but just easy pace running. So like I'm doing today, if I can talk and have a conversation, if I'm not really, I don't know, exerting myself too much, which for me has been to keep it over 8-minute miles. I know that if I'm trying to run under 8-minute miles, especially my level of fitness at the moment, it's probably pushing it a bit too hard. So that intensity, the speed, is going to stay nice and low, and then the duration as well is another limit. So I'm probably looking at about 40 minutes max for my runs. So last week I ran, most days I think I had 1 day off of running, but I kept it nice and short, nice and slow, except for a slightly longer run on my Saturday of 9 miles. So this would have been just over the hour, but I didn't show any reaction to running that long that it was affecting my hip, or more specifically my glutes, where I've got the tendinopathy, which is then affecting my hip. So although slightly against orders, I felt that it was good to know that I could get through just over an hour's running and hold up okay. So last week, in my first full week of running, I did a total of 33 miles split across 6 runs. So I ran a shorter run on every day. These were around 4 to 5 miles typically, around that 30 to 40 minute mark, and then I did that one longer run, as I said, the 9 miles. So that took my total to, as I said, 33 miles of just easy running for last week. And cross training has also remained a significant part of my week, really, more so than running at the moment. With only running sort of 30 to 40 minutes a day, it's quite nice to fit in the time to do that cross training. If I was running, say, over an hour doing sessions, it's more difficult to fit all that in. So I've been thoroughly enjoying the swimming, I think, more than anything. I have dabbled with a little bit of swimming here and then, whilst I have been running as an adult, but it's something I used to do as a kid. Up until about 15, I swam at a club level with swimming galas. We went to sort of county championships as well, but was always sort of kind of middle of the pack really, about where I am with the running I guess now. So not like a real high standard, but I got down to the 100-meter front crawl. It's probably my favourite event, and I got down to just outside that 1 minute. So that has given me a bit of a goal now, that if I could do that when I'm 15, it's a bit of a bucket list thing really, a bit like a sub-3 marathon or a 4-minute mile for a track runner. It's like one to tick off, but it's a real good achievement. So if I can do that 59 for the 100 front crawl, I'd obviously have to train hard for it, I may have to do a bit more swimming than running, but it's an interesting little side quest really that I could embark on if I keep the swimming up. And even if I don't decide to go down that route, it's still been great aerobic exercise for me. And if I can keep up a couple of swims a week in my routine, I think it's going to have a real positive effect on my running, as I've said in the past. But you get that extra aerobic fitness, you get a bit of a strength workout, it's good for your core, and you're not picking up any injuries doing it. Another aspect of cross training I've been enjoying is for cycling, and specifically the Zwift on the turbo. So I've been just trying to find a bit more productive use of my time when I'm at home. I know I watch a lot of football and Netflix when I'm bored, so why not just stick this on my laptop and go on the bike for a spin, just keeping it nice and easy. Extra aerobic gains there while I'm doing something I'd want to be doing anyway at home, so that's been pretty good, and I want to continue doing the Zwift. It's not causing me any issues with my hip. I've been up to around 90 minutes to 2 hours at most on these rides, so it's plenty really. I'm getting a good workout and I'm not straining anything. So after tonight's run, I'm back in with the physio again. So as a follow-up, I'll be recapping on the 4 exercises that I've been doing. So the lying side abductions, the lying on the side clams, the side squats and the side lunges, and hopefully I'll be able to progress to something a little bit more, a bit more of a progression really. It's going to be harder for me, and it's going to strengthen and put a bit more load on my tendons so that I'm getting back to running those sessions a little bit sooner. You're joining me again on Friday from Coronation Park, where I'll be back here tomorrow to do the park run with Jamie. So more about that in later on. So the main update really is for physio that I went to on Wednesday, and what that means for me getting back to running and getting back to doing sessions, and what sort of targets I can look forward to. So the main one is Ashby 20 still on the cards, and it's good news because I thought he'd probably say it's too much of a risk. It's been sort of a couple of weeks away and I've only just returned to running, but he said as long as I keep to sort of a lower intensity and just build that sort of mileage up very slowly. It's a bit of a rush with only being 2 and a bit weeks away, but if I can get to say 13 or 14 miles as my long run, and before, like kind of a week before I do Ashby, and again just keep this at an easy pace, I should be okay to give it a go. And I mean, it's a 2-lap course anyway, so if I get to, I think it's about 11 miles before you get back onto the second loop, so if I get to around there and feel like, you know what, it's a bit hard on my hip, and maybe the hills have added a bit of extra strain to it as opposed to just running on the flat, or if I possibly get carried a little bit away and try and run a bit quicker, which I'm hoping not to. I want to be strict and run at sort of 8-minute miles or over, but could well get sucked in with having a race number on, which I don't want to. So yeah, I've got options there. That the positive news is that I can still target this. It's still on my radar that in 2 weeks time I can do Ashby, and then I think that's the harder target really. If I can do Ashby, then I've got a bit longer before Boston on the 12th of April that I could get a bit more fitness together, and I'd probably be back to doing a few sessions by then as well, if I make good progress with all the rehab exercises. So there's no reason why I can't go and do that marathon at Boston, albeit I'm probably going to have to reset my expectations and look at something a little over 3 hours going into it, because I just won't have the fitness or the speed endurance really with not doing any sort of faster speed work and sort of long tempo runs really. I may get a bit of volume back by then, but I'll still be lacking on running at that 650 per mile pace, which I haven't probably done any of this year. So the actual visit, I had some exercises that I'd been doing. I'd had the 4 banded exercises I was getting on well with. We went into the gym and did a little bit of movement patterns, so I was sort of one single-legged, trying to do sort of squats and lunges, seeing where I was getting pain doing different movement patterns. And the key thing you noted was I've got a bit of an anterior pelvic tilt, so basically my pelvis is sort of, I'm leaning over forwards at my pelvis, which isn't ideal posture wise, probably for doing a lot of sitting down all day at work. You sort of get lazy and your core doesn't engage, and I've seemed to have picked this up, so I've got to correct this. I've got to make sure that I can strengthen the core muscles, which I think swimming's doing a good job of strengthening those core muscles, because you need a similar posture in the water. If you don't, your legs will sink and you'll sort of be pushing against the water all the time. So I think that's helping, but I've also got to make sure that I'm being really conscious when I'm running, when I'm walking as well, that I'm sort of engaging that core and almost like feeling like I'm leaning backwards a little bit when I'm not really. I'm probably just pushing back from being like this to then being straight, but it does feel a little bit weird that I feel like I'm going to fall over backwards when I'm actually not, because I'm probably still slightly forward on the tilt. So I think that that's something that could help. So a combination of a glute tendinopathy and an anterior pelvic tilt is, yeah, not really do me any favours with my running at the moment. So when I can get this corrected, the theory is that my muscles, my tendons, everything like that will sort of react to running in a smoother motion again, and I won't have these little niggles that I've been having over the past couple of years. In terms of exercises, I've got 5 new ones. So I've got a crab walk, so laterally with a band, just put the band around my knee and step to the side. I've got a hip flexor stretch, which is a classic sort of one leg in front of the other, kneeling on a mat and stretching that hip flexor. It's very similar to the iliopsoas stretch as well, but it's just targeting a slightly different muscle. So I think a different activation of different muscles whilst you're doing that. I've also got a psoas stretch, which is basically from standing, just bringing my knee to my chest, which I do sometimes in warm-ups anyway. It's a pretty good one. And the one that I'm probably going to have a job doing unless I maybe go to the gym is hanging leg raises. I can't really find anything in my house to hang off and swing on, so especially one that will take my weight. So I'll probably be looking to, when I'm at the leisure centre, nip into the gym either before or after a swim and get this one done. So I'm probably not going to be doing this one every day, but I'm going to keep on top of the other 4 and then the other 4 banded exercises that I've been doing to keep the progress on there. Sunday morning I was spectating at the Knots half, and you can already see the first place had quite a bit of a lead on the first mile. I was here to watch Sam, my athlete, who I coach, in the black there, who was going for a time of 1:17. So we had clubmate Rom come past, then Sam coming past on the first lap. We then had the winner coming in a time of, it was around 1:07, 1:08, so it's a really good run from him. In between this, the 5k, so Harry, who I've been swimming with recently, he won the 5k in a time of sub-17. And here's Sam coming to the finish with the clock ticking, just coming up for 1:17 here. He did cross the line in 1:16.59. And that's a wrap for the second full week back of running. So the main thing really is the recovery of the injury. That's got to be the priority, and I've been given some more exercises to do. I've been consistent with doing my banded exercises for the last 2 weeks, and then I'm progressing that into 4 new exercises plus the sort of hanging leg raises that I'm getting in when I can. So that's a priority. I want to just keep consistent with that and just get back to running, get back to my full training again. At the moment, I'm running, it's enjoyable, it's better than not running, but I do want to be getting back to those sessions, to those longer runs, and feel like I'm training towards what my goals are, which is to bring down my times in all of the distances, not all at the same time, but to target different races and to be reducing those times. So as a roundup, I've done 40 miles for the week as it's turned out. I ran most days. I think I've ran on 6 of the 7 days this week, with mainly my runs would be about 5 or 6 miles, and then my longer run today I sort of split into 2 parts with watching Sam at the Holme Pierrepont half, so it totaled up to around 13 miles, which is the longest I've done in quite a while now. I did 9 last week and sort of 13 this week, so I feel like I've not really had any reaction from that, and I should be in a good place to do Ashby in a couple of weeks' time. So I'll aim at doing maybe 15 to 16 miles next weekend, just nice and easy, and keep consistent with trying to run those shorter runs on each of the days and keep the cross training up too. I feel like fitness wise I should be there for Ashby. It's just how I hold up, but it's given me something to aim for at least mentally, that I've got 2 weeks now that I've got that focus in my training, because I'm going to be back on the start line in a couple of weeks. So if this comeback to running journey has resonated with you, if you've had a similar injury, particularly around the hip, or just any injury in general, and you've been given sort of different advice to me or gone about things a different way, I'd really like to hear if you've had something similar in the past and you've come back to running, and the sort of timescales and realities of what you can do with this injury. So let me know in the comments if you have. I'll see you in next week's video, with more on the comeback and the build up to Ashby 20.